You know, there was this famous automaton in the late 18th century called the Turk. It was a magnificent, life-sized mannequin in Ottoman robes, seated at a cabinet, and it could play chess. And not just play, it could beat some of the best minds of the era, including Napoleon Bonaparte and Benjamin Franklin. For nearly a century, it toured Europe and the Americas, dazzling and mystifying everyone. How could mere clockwork possess such intelligence? Of course, it was an elaborate illusion, a brilliant piece of stage magic, with a human chess master cleverly concealed inside. But what's fascinating isn't just the trick. It's how desperately people wanted to believe in the intelligent machine, and how readily they ascribed genius to gears and levers. Fast forward a couple of centuries, and here we are again, peering into another black box, the AI, and wondering, is there a ghost in this machine, or are we just seeing what we want to see? Except this time, the Turk isn't just playing chess on a stage, it's applying for jobs. It's writing code, and it's whispering in the ears of executives. The illusion and the reality are getting much harder to tell apart. Welcome to AI Replaced Me. It's May 8th, 2025, and I'm your host, Koby Ofek. This is the podcast where we pull back the curtain on the brave, bewildering, and sometimes downright bizarre ways artificial intelligence is reshaping our work, our careers, and maybe even how we think about being human. So let's dive into the modern day equivalent of the Turk's Cabinet of Wonders, the job interview. Imagine you're a hiring manager navigating the choppy waters of talent acquisition. You're on a Zoom call. The candidate looks impeccable, maybe a little too impeccable, like an Instagram filter brought to life. Their answers? Flawless. They hit every keyword, every talking point. Then a flicker, a momentary pixelation around the eyes, a slight audio desync. Was that just a bad connection? Or did you just witness the digital equivalent of seeing the man behind the curtain? This isn't a scene from a dystopian movie anymore. A recent survey dropped a quiet bombshell. 17% of US hiring managers report they've encountered deepfakes in the interview process. 17%. That's nearly 1 in 5. These aren't just doctored resumes. We're talking about real-time AI-generated personas, sophisticated enough to fool experienced professionals. Think about the sheer audacity, the digital panache. It's Frank Abagnale Jr. for the Silicon Age. But instead of forging checks, they're forging entire professional identities. And it's not just about a convincing face. Some of these AI-powered applicants are using real-time answer generators. The interviewer asks a complex technical question, and poof, the perfect algorithmically crafted answer flows forth. It's like having a very tiny, very smart, and utterly invisible consultant whispering in your ear. Why this elaborate deception? Sometimes it's the oldest motive in the book, cold, hard cash. Get the job, pocket the salary, and hope nobody notices you can't actually, do the work. But then there are the more chilling scenarios. Reports point to sophisticated state-sponsored groups using these AI doppelgangers to infiltrate organizations. Suddenly, that slightly too smooth candidate isn't just a potential bad hire. They're a potential Trojan horse. This whole charade forces us to ask a rather uncomfortable question. In an age where AI can so convincingly mimic competence, what does genuine skill even look like? How do we measure it? This, inevitably, has sparked a kind of digital Cold War in hiring. Companies invest in AI to screen candidates, to parse through mountains of applications with superhuman speed. And in response, candidates or the services they hire deploy their own AI to craft the perfect algorithm-beating resume, the flawless cover letter. The Financial Times, with a weary sigh, called this AI arms race in hiring a huge mess for everyone. And it is. HR departments, promised a streamlined utopia, now find themselves wading through oceans of synthetic perfection, where every application gleams with the same AI-polished sheen. It's like judging a beauty pageant where every contestant has had the exact same digital facelift. And who gets left behind in this algorithmic cat-and-mouse game? Often, it's those who can't afford the shiniest AI career-enhancing tools. This isn't just about fairness. It's about a system potentially amplifying existing biases. If the AI is trained on data reflecting past inequalities, it might just get very, very good at perpetuating them. It's so tangled that even politicians are throwing their hands up. Viscount Camrose, the UK's shadow minister for AI, didn't pull any punches. He wrote to the Financial Times suggesting that modern recruiting tech is fundamentally stuck in the medieval church. That's a heck of an image, isn't it? We're using 21st century AI, tools of almost unimaginable power, but we're bolting them onto frameworks for organizing labor that were designed when people still worried about crop rotation and feudal lords. He argues, quite persuasively, that this mismatch doesn't just make hiring frustrating, it actually hinders economic mobility, making it harder for people to switch careers or get recognized for non-traditional skill sets. Is it any wonder some companies are saying enough and quietly returning to older, more human methods? The whispered reference, the gut feeling in a face-to-face meeting. It's a tacit acknowledgement that perhaps, just perhaps, you can't entirely automate the assessment of human spirit and potential. Story 2. Now, let's shift gears. While one set of AIs are busy trying to sneak in the front door with a fake mustache and a doctored resume, another set is already inside, making themselves indispensable and eyeing a promotion. Consider the curious case of Meta. Mark Zuckerberg, a man not typically known for understatement when it comes to his company's prowess, recently let slip a rather significant detail. Meta's internal AI systems are now approaching the capabilities of a mid-level software engineer. Pause for a moment and let that compute. We're not talking about an AI that can fetch your dry cleaning or draft a generic email. We're talking about an AI performing tasks that, until very recently, were the exclusive domain of skilled, experienced human professionals who've spent years honing their craft. This isn't about replacing the entire engineering department with a blinking server rack in the basement. Not yet anyway. But it fundamentally changes the calculus of how a tech company builds its products and its teams. Will we see fewer junior coding positions? Will senior engineers become more like orchestra conductors, guiding symphonies of AI assistants? The Financial Times, ever ready with a provocative headline, put it this way: your pushy AI intern is ready for a promotion. And the key word there isn't intern, it's pushy. This AI isn't just capable, it's effective. It's driving results. We've crossed the threshold from look what AI could theoretically do to look at the Q2 earnings report from what AI is actually doing. The numbers are starting to tell a compelling story. Microsoft's Azure Cloud Services, for example, posted a 33% revenue jump. And the really interesting bit? Half of that surge was directly attributed to AI services. This isn't experimental R&D budget stuff anymore. This is enterprises, big and small, putting serious money on the table for AI solutions. Bain & Company found that a staggering 95% of companies are now using generative AI. And they're not just dipping their toes in the water. They're investing an average of like $10 million each. And Meta? They're planning to unleash a torrent of cash. Get this? $72 billion in capital expenditures, with a huge slice of that pie earmarked for AI. When you see that kind of capital commitment, it's not a fad, it's a fundamental restructuring of the economic landscape. It's the digital gold rush, and everyone's staking a claim. But what about the human cost of this gold rush? Well, companies like Duolingo and Shopify aren't being shy about it. They've publicly stated that AI implementation has led to reduced headcount or hiring freezes. Across the pond in the UK, a survey revealed that 51% of business leaders are now planning to prioritize investments in AI over hiring new staff, explicitly citing the rising costs of human employment. It's a stark economic equation. If an AI can perform a task at a fraction of the cost of a human, the gravitational pull towards automation is almost irresistible. Now, this isn't necessarily the script for a dystopian movie where robots take all the jobs. The World Economic Forum's 2025 report, for instance, offers a more nuanced picture. They project that while AI might displace around 9 million jobs, it's also expected to help create roughly 11 million new ones. So it's a story of churn, of transformation, of old roles fading and new ones emerging from the digital ether. And we are seeing a boom in these new roles. AI engineers, of course, but also prompt engineers, the new digital wordsmiths who can coax magic from large language models. And crucially, AI ethics leads. The people tasked with keeping our new algorithmic colleagues from, say, accidentally starting World War III or just developing a really bad attitude. This isn't just happening in Silicon Valley. Sectors like insurance, marketing, even nonprofits are aggressively hiring AI talent. But here's a piece of data that will make you scratch your head. A recent, very detailed study out of Denmark, looking at the labor market in 2023 and 2024, found something surprising. Despite the lightning-fast adoption of AI chatbots by workers, the study found minimal significant impact on wages or overall recorded work hours. Minimal. Now, it did find that about 8.4% of workers saw new job tasks bubble up as a result of AI. So the nature of work is subtly changing. Tasks are morphing, but the big economic earthquake many predicted, at least in Denmark, for those specific jobs, it hasn't quite registered on the Richter scale of paychecks. Is it a lag? Are we in the quiet before the storm? Or is the impact more nuanced than the headline figures suggest? And this brings us to the new graduates, the bright-eyed young people stepping into this bewildering new world. The Atlantic recently pointed to a rather alarming statistic. The unemployment rate for recent college graduates has jumped to 5.8%. That's a number that echoes the grim days of the Great Recession. If AI is increasingly capable of handling not just entry-level tasks, but also those mid-level engineer-type roles, where do young professionals cut their teeth? How do they build experience and climb the career ladder when the first few rungs are being quietly, efficiently automated away? All right, before we try to tie a bow on all this delightful chaos, let's catch a few quick sparks flying off the anvil of AI this week, our Future Forward Flashes.
Oh my goodness! Time for Future Forward Flashes!
First, the tech sector's ongoing game of musical chairs, or perhaps musical desks, has continued in April. A rather sobering 23,400 plus employees were laid off globally across 19 tech companies. The usual suspects were cited: restructuring, cost-cutting, and yes, the increasingly efficient elephant in the room, AI. Second, a little political intrigue. Remember that national AI talent surge from the previous administration? Well, Reports this week suggest the current Trump administration dismissed over 200 of those hired AI experts. It certainly raises an eyebrow and a few questions about the coherence and continuity of US government AI strategy. And third, a dispatch from the heartland, sort of. It's not just the coastal tech citadels wrestling with AI's integration. A report from Axios highlighted that in Utah, of all places, employers across a surprisingly diverse range of industries are increasingly listing AI skills as a core job requirement. Consider that a memo to the workforce. AI literacy is rapidly shifting from nice to have to don't bother applying without it. So, where does all this leave us as we stand here on May 8th, 2025? We've got these almost surreal narratives unfolding simultaneously. On one stage, it's a high-stakes, slightly farcical game of digital cat and mouse in the hiring world, where authenticity feels like an endangered species, and we're left wondering if we can trust our own eyes or our applicant tracking systems. And on the stage right next to it, AI is not just getting hired, it's acing its performance reviews, driving billions in revenue, and fundamentally reshaping the architecture of how companies operate and what careers even mean. It's a whirlwind, isn't it? Complex, messy, undeniably fascinating, and evolving at a speed that can feel like trying to read a departure board during an earthquake. The only real certainty, it seems, is that the idea of a static career, of learning one skill set and coasting, is probably a relic of a bygone era. This isn't about some dystopian fear of fighting the future. It's about something far more interesting. Understanding the contours of this new landscape, spotting the new paths, and figuring out how we, with all our human ingenuity and quirks, feed into it. This whole notion of proactive adaptation, of cultivating resilience and finding new ways to contribute and thrive in a world increasingly intertwined with intelligent machines, is really the heart of what I explore in my book, Keep Your Day Job: How to AI-Proof Your Career. It's about practical strategies, not panic. You can find it on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold or downloaded. Thank you for joining me on this inaugural journey of AI Replaced Me. I hope you'll lend me your ears again next week as we continue to navigate the twists, turns, and occasional trapdoors of this AI-infused world of work.